This is a lot more challenging than I thought it would be for more than one reason. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Today I am so happy that I finally get to share with you some projects that I've been working on as part of a collaboration with Shannon over on Shannon Talks Yarn. Now, Shannon is one of those people that has really good ideas, really fun and interesting videos, and really encouraging ones. And one of the things that we both value is working from a yarn stash, but also evaluating where those yarns go so that we actually find the most fulfillment out of them. As a crocheter, it can be so easy to think of others and to have projects going for special people in our lives or projects to donate, but on occasion we'll get these really nice yarns and we want just the right project for them. That was the case for me, that's the case for Shannon. And so the question is, number one, what's the right project? The right project. And number two, who will these go to? One of the things that Shannon and I both agree on is that so many times, as much as we pour our heart into these projects that we make for other people, they don't always appreciate it to the degree that we do. And I think also, as a giving person, sometimes it can be harder to take some time for myself or to do something kind just for myself, to say I'm worth using these favorite fibers on. So we challenged each other in the month of February, because it is the month of love, to practice a little bit of self-love, so to speak, and choose some of our favorite yarns, our most wonderful fibers to work with, and use those to create a project for ourselves. The yarn that I chose is some that I picked up at my favorite thrift store, and I'm actually going to send you back in time to talk about that, and then I'll jump back in here and let you know the projects I've been working on. I can't remember what the sale was, but at some point I was able to acquire 7 of these. These are Virtue 100% cashmere, and so they were originally $18.25 at whatever yarn store they came from, and then Smart Arts and Crafts had it marked down to $9. I think I got them for $1 or less. I can't remember if it was a $1 everything sale or like fill a basket sale, but this is by Artful Yarns, and it is 25 grams, approximately 75 yards, and I think it's the color blue-green, something like that. But anyway, I have 7 of these. So 75 yards of this kind of a cornflower blue, kind of a seafoam, kind of dark seafoam green, a little bit of a dusky gray, and a royal blue mixed in there. So that's about maybe 450 yards. The surprise was that I went back actually today, the day I'm filming, and what do you think I found? I found the exact same Virtue 100% cashmere in this colorway. So this one is pinks and reds and browns. So in here you have kind of a hot pink. It's not a neon color. It's not the same color as this sticker even. A kind of a brick red, a golden brown, and then more of like a Crayola, like a crayon brown. I found 5 of these. So again, 75 yards. And here we have them together. So I have 7 cashmere in blue, 5 cashmere in this red. And that gives me about 900 yards. This yarn, I've looked it up. Some people consider it a 4-weight. Some people consider it more a 3-weight. But wow. This is the only 100% cashmere I've ever owned, and so it fits the bill. It's something that I'm going to bite the bullet and just make it for myself and try to not feel guilty about it. So yes, I'll have to figure out patterns. I have a few ideas of what I can do, but I have 900 yards of cashmere now, and it's a good breakdown in the color, so I'll be able to do some color work. Anyway, I'm excited to see what I come up with, and I'm excited to see what Shannon comes up with. So let me jump you to the future. So let me just go ahead and say I did not use all of that yarn. I still have about 5 balls left, 3 of the blue and 2 of the red. So with about 75 yards apiece, I still have something more that I could do. But y'all, the projects that I chose came through so many iterations and were frogged so many times that I'm just happy that I used what I could. The first thing that I wanted to do when I was making these projects was think about where on my body am I going to want to feel cashmere? And my first thought was my hands. So I decided to make a pair of wrist warmers for myself. Now, I've made some in the past, and I realized that I don't want a lot of bulk on the palm of my hands. That's going to keep me from being able to get a grip that I want. And so I needed to kind of be strategic on the stitches that I chose. And I actually wanted to use both the red and the blue at the same time. The first thing I decided to try out was using the houndstooth stitch. And here's a photo of what I came up with. So this ended up being a really great starting point for me. The only problem with this was that I carried the yarn underneath. And so what happened was the fabric was really stiff. It didn't give me any kind of stretch at all. So I ended up frogging back these houndstooth stitch wrist warmers and trying to figure out what else I could do. The stitch pattern I chose was the diamond trellis stitch, and I followed a tutorial by Creative Grandma. I'll have that linked in the description below. Let me show you. Here is the one, and here is the other. So as you'll notice, I just have the pattern on the back sides, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted it thinner in the middle so that it's easier for me to grip a steering wheel or hold a child's hand. I also made the left hand and the right hand separately, so I had to watch my stitch counts and decide where I was going to put that diamond trellis, that kind of lattice stitch in there. I did a slip stitch kind of border, kind of cuff there, and then I ended up with some half double crochets across the top. I didn't really follow a pattern to make these. I just watched the tutorial on the stitches and I kind of fudged around accordingly. But in terms of how these turned out, I really do like them. The interior here is just some double crochets and I stitched it all together along the sides. My hands are a little bit small and it took a little bit of time to get just the right fit to them, but I do love how these turned out and I think they're going to be a great transitional piece as it gets more into the spring, but we still have a little bit of cold weather here and there. The other piece that I made was a cowl, and it's one that I'd had my eye on for a while. It's a pattern by Elena Fedotova, I do believe, and she was collaborating with the yarn brand Malabrego to make it. It's called the Dotty Cowl, and it actually calls for a much smaller size yarn than what I used. So here is how it turned out. Y'all, this cowl gave me so much trouble. But here's how it turned out. It is a little stiff. I do think that this pattern qualifies as brioche crochet. So it's not interlocking in that the two different colors don't ever interact, but you do actually crochet from one color into the next. Basically what you're doing is a bunch of V-stitches and you are placing them strategically to create this effect. It took me the longest time to get going on this, and even once I was going on it, it took some time to stay going. I had to watch my hook placement every row to make sure that I wasn't catching strangely, or I was making sure to fold one side back or fold it forward or turning it inside out and reversing it. But eventually I grew in confidence and I came out with this piece here. I do love the effect. These yarns, both the red and the blue, have various colors within them. So the red isn't a pure red, it's got some pink, it's got some brown in it. The blue isn't a pure blue, it's got some dark gray and some kind of periwinkle and some aqua in there. And so I think a pattern like this is very simple, but it really shows off the yarn beautifully. In addition, it is fully reversible. So even though it creates a really double thick fabric, it means that I can wear it in kind of different ways. I can style it to show more pops of the red or more pops of the blue. Because it is 100% cashmere, it is pretty soft, and I do really appreciate that. I'm going to love having this against my skin. And it's, again, another transitional piece that is going to be good when it's not quite chilly out, but I just need a little bit something to take my lighter weight clothes up a notch in the changeable spring weather. Here's how these two pieces go together. What I love about them is they do kind of relate to each other, but they're not matching per se. You can tell that they're cousins maybe, but they're not brother and sister. If you are interested in this pattern in particular, I will not only leave a link to the Malabrigo pattern for you, but also to the designer's notes on it that really did help me. That was more detailed than was in the original pattern. As a pattern itself, it's something that I think I might try again, but I might wait a little bit just because it was a little bit complicated to get my brain around. And speaking of that, I think that kind of is reflective of this whole experience in general. Sometimes it is so easy for us to justify loving other people well, but we don't see what's in their minds. We don't see them at their worst a lot of times, but we do see ourselves then, and it can be a lot harder to give ourselves that same grace and that same love. So an exercise like this, with all the challenges, for me was just a picture of perseverance. I've called myself a perfectionist in recovery for a lot of years, and I feel like I've come a long way. I do have to credit my faith with a big part of that. Constantly coming back to the idea that I was created on purpose and for a purpose by someone who is complete and infinitely loving, sees all the bad stuff about me and loves me anyway. And as they say, God don't make junk. So this was a good exercise in kind of strengthening those ideas and that muscle that not only am I worth the good fibers, but I'm worth persevering to make something uniquely beautiful too. And you know, the things that we work hard at, we tend to value them more. So maybe that's a piece for you too. Not only are you worth using the nice yarn on, but you're also worth the effort to learn to love yourself well, or to receive that love, or to feel that worth. You know, at some point, we all have to make a conscious choice that we're going to change our belief system. It does take a lot of effort to start taking those thoughts that enter all of our heads and start rejecting them. Our brains tend to go down the same little routes over and over, and those routes get strengthened and those ideas become almost ingrained in our mind. It takes a lot of effort to learn something new. Even if that knowledge is something that you're surrounded with all the time, people tell you how wonderful you actually are very well loved. But if we have those ingrained beliefs, it takes so much effort to wrench them out and to uproot them and to replace them with something true and lovely. But like a really challenging pattern that takes a good long while to put together, it's definitely worth it, and you'd be surprised at how equipped you are to do it, even in small ways. And if there's any way that I can personally help you, I hope that I can. I hope that this video encourages you. I hope that you know that as hard as it may be to overcome those kind of thoughts in the back of your head, or maybe even the front of your head, that you're not worth it, I want you to know I'm one more voice saying you actually are. You are wonderful, you're beautiful, and what you have to offer this world is worthwhile and wonderful. So thank you so much for being part of my life. Thank you for the honor that I get to be part of yours. Thank you to Shannon for agreeing to do this little exercise with me and encouraging me to go ahead and find the patterns and do the thing and make the thing and enjoy the things. Shannon, you're wonderful, and I can't wait to go see your video. Shannon, it was a joy collaborating with you this month, and I look forward to more in the future. Thank you to all my subscribers, old and new. Thank you for everyone who's along with me on this little crochet adventure in YouTube. I certainly do appreciate you. You make my heart smile. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.